Okay, I call to order the Board of Assessors meeting at 9:35. I have to say, this is a public meeting being audio and video recorded for cable broadcast and internet posting on the Dayton mass.gov and YouTube channels. Yes? Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So old business. In your packets, I have, so
There's the personal property.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Dan Higgins and myself, we've been back and forth. So I guess Paul does these little spotlight interviews that are out there. People can rewatch. So he suggested maybe we do it that way. So
What's a spotlight interview? What is?
it just highlights a different area or a different department, or he just does an interview. You come up with the questions, he asks you, you answer them, and
So Paul,
Reynolds.
yep,
So this is his little spiel to me and Dan about how it works. And I just wanted everyone to have that. And we just need to, I think it's a good idea.
so the spotlight, I think I did a spotlight when we first started,
I think so.
right? I had to do an assessor's spotlight. You remember that, Nancy?
Yeah,
Right, so that same sort of thing,
yeah, you just,
Yeah,
right? Will you do that?
it's like
ordered, just,
public information. I
Yeah.
told him, he said, I was talking to Paul, I said, I think that's a good idea. He said he wants to get questions about personal property. I said, get in touch with Mike Tebow. He's got a lot of questions. He says he would be a good person to ask. Does he have specific topics that could be addressed? So,
okay, well, I can reach out and see if we can, get some questions maybe that aren't on our list that DIC was, looking for answers on.
mhm.
Yeah, are they looking for us to just kind of verbally answer them? Do you want it in writing? What's?
No, it's gonna be.
You're gonna sit down and chit chat.
Be like Oprah.
Paul's gonna ask the questions.
I've heard of her.
He's got to
Yeah.
answer them. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So is the board present? I don't remember. We were gonna.
No, it's just- it's,
Just that.
yeah, I thought we said
We were
that,
gonna be there for a little bit, right?
yeah, but then
Probably at one point,
three
we're
of
gonna
us-
all try to be
yeah,
there,
but
but,
three of us together, you gotta post it, so that.
oh, that's right.
But anybody can go. I'm not planning to go. You're gonna go?
If you go, Bill, then I can't go. But I'm okay with that. You're okay if you want to go.
It depends on the day and date.
Yeah, so
well,
I'll put it this way. If you can't make it, if it's in your heart to, you want to go, that's fine. If you can't make it, just shoot me a text in enough time to be able to make it. So then one of us could be present.
Yep.
I think would be good.
Okay. Okay, that works.
I don't know if that's a voting thing.
No,
It's old business because I've discussed it.
Right.
Times.
Okay.
Okay,
invoices.
no invoices. I haven't ran out of time. Yes. So first we have a 2023 motor vehicle abatement.
Question that we sign the motor vehicle 2003 in the amount of $424.72.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I see your trapper keeper, Miss Nancy?
I think he's gonna steal something.
I'm just gonna borrow it real quickly, yeah.
Okay. this
Pull it out.
is,
So you're looking for a pen. Pull it out. This.
Regular pen. Yeah, here we go. Oh, perfect. What is this thing? Oh, you got a flashlight in there.
All sorts of good stuff.
Are you-
Let's see. If not, I can look at it and see. Oh, it says your application is being denied by vote of this. I mean, it
So
looks-
basically this thing that the person sold the vehicle on the last day of the year.
Oh, yeah, so it's not prorated,
Okay,
they
really?
paid the whole month, no matter. they do it on the first, they're still paying for all of December.
Oh, really?
Not a proration, it's monthly.
Well, it's prorated monthly.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah, it's not
prorated daily.
daily, exactly.
I understand.
That's the minutes we're gonna sign off. on.
Okay,
Oh, I see. Okay.
motion that we sign the abatement denial for CCAP auto lease.
Second,
That's it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
I noticed they got something on this one, but that one they just didn't file timely.
No, this
That
one,
one they canceled like the last day of the year.
yeah, there
Right.
was no.
So there's no.
They had it.
They
Oh,
won't be getting it
okay.
back, so we're denying it because there's no money.
Yeah, we're not denying it because we don't like them. We're denying it because there's simply no money to be had.
Well, I have a problem with all these leasing companies because that law hasn't been passed that says they must, if they
You
get
signed it
something
two spots,
back,
Emily?
Oh,
they,
no.
they have to.
I just went through.
Oh, and you put a
Spent
sticky,
15,
oh my
20
goodness.
minutes slapping these little stickers on. 'cause
I
that's-
am-
Well, if you laugh, they're not gonna
I am
stay.
remiss. I am so sorry.
Slapping.
Oh,
I was
slapping.
laughing. Yeah, that's
Slapping them on.
slapping them
Okay,
on.
just do.
Okay.
That,
Real estate.
yep, those are, I think, two exemptions that have come in after the bills were already produced. So, we have to put those in, you know. Yep.
These are things that we've already reviewed and, oh no, these will be things that you just automatically did about these.
Yep, these are applications that came in. They're not new applications. We review the information, make sure they're still qualified.
What kind of exemptions are we talking about?
Tells you what, 42 is a veterans and 41C is a senior.
Motion that we sign the 2024 real estate tax exemptions in the amount of $1,556.76.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Now, this is the CPA that goes along with that because,
Yep. Same motion that
Yep.
we sign the CPA exemption in the amount of $41.18.
second,
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
so in your packets, I have the email, the cover sheet and the evaluation. Mine's on the back. For the non-union. I don't know if it has a deadline.
I recall that last year, this was a big deal.
Yeah.
I also saw that there is this, we're supposed to submit it to Leanne, I believe, and
Karen,
Karen,
that was in last year too.
Yeah.
and we had issues with that.
We didn't do it.
So I
We
think
did.
we're gonna discuss and vote on how you want to handle like last year, I
Yep.
think, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
We're gonna handle it the way we did last year.
Correct. I think that's what they're expecting. So.
Do your
yeah.
own-
The process for evaluation?
They expect us to individually hand in to Karen,
And then
and
they,
then she is going to put them together, but what we did
No.
was last year.
Yes,
was
correct.
we
We're going to do
put
it that way.
together.
Yes, okay.
yeah, so we met
All
separate.
right, so I
And
misunderstood.
then it got put together,
Correct.
averaged out, I think, right?
Agree on what we say
Exactly.
as the. board,
Exactly.
And they accept that. Yes.
And I think the memo is almost identical to last year. It does say that council said it should be done. I don't need legal counsel. I don't need to pay legal counsel tax money to say this is how we should do it. I found that irritating, quite frankly. And what we did last year was appropriate. It was fair. It was within the open meeting law.
Yeah, because we did it in open.
And so when we're all done, there'll be one evaluation that will be submitted and say, here it is from the Board of Assessors. We don't need other people getting involved in this.
Correct, because
My
it
rec-
leads to their interpretation instead of ours.
My recollection was an open meeting, we just gave numbers, right? We didn't actually discuss details, right?
We did it individually.
I think we read,
Yeah.
yeah, so we,
Might have read a little.
I think we had to know what the question was for the number. right?
Yeah,
We have to
with
move
the
it.
question and the number. We
Yeah.
didn't,
The question,
we
have-
averaged it out.
Yeah, we didn't have big discussions. There might have been like very slight detail, but we didn't have,
yeah, and it was only like, if I understood a question to be this, you understood it differently. We're like, okay, so how am I reviewing it? As opposed to how you're viewing it, so we can be on the same page with the number.
And how do
right?
we
So
come
what
up
we're
with a
appropriately
number?
Evaluating.
right,
That's what we did,
Yeah.
correct?
So when's it be done by?
No later than Monday.
March first. Okay, so we've got,
No later than what, March one?
Months.
March 4th.
no.
March 4th. We only got like 6 weeks,
Meetings
not even,
between then, no?
5 weeks. February's short.
For
Yeah,
3
we should.
weeks.
We might have 2 or 3 meetings before that, between that, because we have 21st is our next one,
Mhm.
3 weeks.
Yeah, that doesn't leave us
And
much
then
time,
3
because then the
weeks after
4th is
that
only
is
2 weeks
beyond
after
March
that,
4th.
right? So if we look at the
We could
21st,
be meeting with we might have to schedule something because of abatements, so we might have to
Okay.
meet
yeah,
in between.
But, so in the meantime, we each do
21st.
this.
And then, yeah, the following week, so there's really, from the 21st, there's the 28th, and the following week it's due on, you said the 5th? That's a Tuesday.
4th.
4th, that's a Monday.
Mhm.
So we won't have any meetings after the 21st.
Unless we have a special.
So
Unless we
we
do
might
something.
have to have a special meeting.
All right, so just to, each one of us takes this form and we fill it out and we can individually meet with Stephanie and talk to her about it. And then
That's right. That's
we
what-
come together as a board in open session and we determine the number, the score. And that final paper that has the combined score is what's going to be submitted.
Mhm. And that would be by the 4th.
Yep,
We could do it.
yeah, I'm not concerned about it.
Yeah, it's only a month,
Well-
2 months. Okay.
So, so just to be clear, so between now and the 21st, which is our next posted meeting,
Mhm.
we each will meet with you to discuss the eval,
Yep,
right? And then the 21st, we discuss it. Okay.
I think you're up next, Nancy.
oh, okay.
Yep.
So. I've got a number of pilot agreements in various stages, but the one that I was most concerned about, that I worked on over the weekend in all these scenarios. The solar farm at 2320 William Street, which is it was a pig farm at one time. The one way
Yeah,
down
with
Williams.
Somerset.
Yeah. So they want a pilot agreement. The first. After we won the court case about this, no pilot agreement. There was a settlement made through the appellate tax board because the first year, after there was no pilot agreement, it was deemed no way. There was an assessment and they questioned their assessment and it went to the ATB. And as a result of what happened with the ATB and the ISM Solar and Carroll, there was an adjustment downward in their value. And they received roughly $30,000 abatement, right?
Yep.
In that letter that talked about, and the letterhead is from an attorney's office.
The source of this, Sourcey or something?
In that letter, like as part of this ATB case, there was an agreement on what the taxes would be.
Values.
Yeah, what the evaluation would
I
be.
remember this letter.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's crazy.
yeah. So,
Keeps coming
so
back.
all that happened.
The
What-
boomerang letter.
What I worked on over the weekend was, first of all, once and forever, and I've made it clear to Sam Van Dam, who is now the person working with me on trying to get a solar agreement put together. There never was a pilot. up until the point of me sending that decision from Judge McGuire to Sam, ISM Solar's position was, we got a pilot agreement, the town will honor it. I said, no, here's the judge's decision. There never was one. We're starting out fresh, day one. So I went back to these documents. My problem was, I did not feel that what they were saying as far as how the valuation will decrease each year over 20 years. Didn't look right to me. Didn't make sense.
It wasn't right.
Right. Stephanie gave me information, and so we were looking at, so yesterday, when Rich was here to go over other stuff, we sat down and I said to him, I'm working on pilot agreements. I need to know if what I'm looking at tax-wise makes sense. And he said, I don't do pilots. I said, no, we're gonna talk taxes, not pilots. So what we came up with was, do you have that long printout? I've had it here.
I didn't bring anything for,
Okay, this was the initial thing that I was looking at, and I says, oh, this doesn't make any sense at all. So what we determined was, for 2024, the valuation is 2,061,830. All right. The one that had been submitted to me originally from whoever was doing this for ISM Solar had this down at 1,500,000, and I'm saying, no, it's too low. Anyhow, 2,061,800. That's where we're starting. Okay. Now, Stephanie did some calculations about what the taxes would be based on starting at 2,061,000, decreasing it each year through 2044. The total taxes were a little over, I'm going to say $630,000 over the course of 20 years. So what I was saying to Rich was, all I want to know is my thought behind these taxes the way we can go? Because I don't want to end up with lawyers, an appellate tax board, or anything else. But based on the way we've done solar agreements in the past, once we've determined the starting point, which we have, and it decreases at the rate of 8%. This is the standard percent that is used, accepted by DOR. Then we apply best estimate for taxes, come up with the number. I said, that's what I need to know. Once I know that, in theory, this is the right number, this is the process to use and everything else, I said, I can take that 600 and some thousand. We front end load, which means the first 10 years are going to be the highest payments. It'll start up here and it
Because
will
the value is higher.
decrease. Yes.
Correct.
Not only that, some communities, they would take the total tax dollars, divide it by 20 years and just say, you pay the same every year. That doesn't make sense to me. Furthermore, we would just as soon get the money up front when the system is new and producing maximum power, because that's when they're getting their big dollars, so to speak.
Right.
So, so we went through the whole thing. That's where we are. So I'm going to put together a fill them in the blank thing, because what they sent me here, I had to talk to Rich because originally the pilot agreement that came back said 67.7 acres. That's not right. That's the farm. It's really 11.64.
Of the farm.
That is what we're looking at for the solar part with the driveway and the peripherals, all that good stuff. And that, where that solar farm is, it's considered prime. And we are going to go with that because prime is at the rate of value at 40,000 an acre. Okay. The rest of their property is in what, 61, whatever.
It's farm, right?
yeah.
Yeah, whatever. what, in looking at this whole thing, what Rich said was, there was an error. Somewhere along the way, after the court case, but and then the ATB got involved now, of roughly 300,000 in valuation, which under what I'm proposing, we will pick up in valuation, because we're not gonna take that number they had. We're gonna take the 2,061,000 as the starting point for valuation. Okay? So in effect, we'll be like correcting an error. All of this can be explained as far as if they question it. I
And
think,
they've been paying what, this year was 41,000 in tax, I think.
oh yeah, I got the text. Here's the, you can look at these. This year is 2020 is 41,000, but this goes back a few years if you want to look at that. And then we can pass it to Eric. So we agreed on the starting value. We agreed on what the total tax it would represent over 20 years. We agreed that 11.64 acres, the entire amount is going to be considered prime at the rate of 40,000 an acre. And there was a comment from Mr. Van Dam, whoever put this together, this may have been before him. It may have been the last person that had comments on this. They wanted to discuss the 5,000 that's in here that we put in every pilot agreement to reimburse the town for expenses in putting together pilot agreements and recording and all that good stuff. And I just told them that's not negotiable, that's standard. So I'm going to take a form now, a blank form, fill it in with what I just described and bring it back to you. I'll get it to you guys ahead of time to review. Once this board says, okay, then I will give it to Sam and say, take this back to your leader. This is the proposal. All right?
Sam.
This is it, Sam Van. This is it. As I said to Rich,
But then it goes to town meeting, right?
oh, well, no, then after it comes back from them. And they agree with us, because we're not, as I said to Rich, we say negotiate. We don't really negotiate these. We say, here's the blank. Fill in all the blanks. This is it. I need an inventory, I need a plot plan, and I need the schedule will do, all right? This is it. So the position of the town has been, once we put it together, this is it. We're not changing stuff. The only thing that can be discussed are the blanks. Assuming they say, okay, this is fine, we give it to the Board of Selectmen with a recommendation from us and a request through the town administrator. Review this, we want this on the warrant for, if we can do it, we'll do it for June coming up, okay? And it will go to town meeting and we will ask the voters to approve it. So, but I just wanted you to know where we are in this one. I'm working on Clearway. Clearway is Arujo Farms. And Brook Street also is sort of in the works. Clearway is closer to, I'm not sure it's gonna be ready for June, but I'm further ahead on that one. And Brook Street, I'm just holding it because there's a question. They haven't been able to do the testing and dig up the stuff. But there are still panels in water. And Jim Agia had said he's not comfortable with panels in water. If any panels have to be removed after they resolve the drainage problem, it changes the inventory. So I haven't really gotten into that. That's why I'm holding on that one, because I need an accurate inventory. We'll know how that all comes out. But this one, I think, is the most likely one that can move ahead, assuming they accept it. And quite frankly, if they say, no, we don't want it, then you just get a regular tax bill. The problem is, it's better to have this, because once we lock this in, they can't go to ATB. As long as we're doing it this way, they can question their value, but
Right, so just curious, why does that go to a town vote?
because the law requires it.
The law requires it. to go
Because
to a
they're,
vote.
they're being taken off the tax rolls and they're given a special deal.
No, that's not the reason. I'll send you the judge's decision. As a matter of fact, that judge's decision clarifies the power that the Board of Selectmen has in binding this town in almost anything. And the judge's ruling was the Board of Selectmen cannot legally bind the town by signing pilot agreements or anything else, because under the law, the approving authority is town meeting. And that was the gist of the entire case that we
So the
won,
taxpayers bind
the town.
the town to the,
Yes,
I see,
yes.
right. That's actually a better way to do it.
And the whole thing that happened was, when this and the one on Richmond Hill were initially brought to the Board of Selectmen, they signed, two of them signed. I was on the FinCom at the time and I says, no, that's wrong. It's not binding. Well, we end up with this one dragging us into court. And the 2 points that we won on were, number one, the judge's interpretation of who the approving authority is in a town. It's the town meeting or the, however you're structured. And the other point was, in the original pilot agreements for both of those solar farms, they included real estate. And I said, no, you can only include real estate if you own the land
Right.
and the equipment, in which case your land is tax exempt. But what happened was they had, personal opinion, they had made some arrangement with the lessors that the pilot agreement would include payment of real estate taxes. All I said was no. And that was the other point that the judge ruled on. You
At least
can't
he
include,
Not pay the property taxes.
They
from
were-
a
they were-
leaser.
they were trying to, instead of this contract is between the solar company and the town of Dayton,
Right,
nobody else.
right.
But they had wording that was bringing in the people who own the land. I says, you can't, they don't even sign this. They're
Right.
not a party.
Okay, I think that explains it clearly
But-
for taxpayers, that anybody that might not
Yes,
understand that
so-
process.
We only had that problem once. We prevailed. And, so anyhow, this is a progress report
Okay.
on, where we are. So you'll be getting some stuff. I spoke to Mike yesterday, told him I was feeling pretty good. Because after the weekend, trying to get this all worked out, it was like, but
Okay.
anyhow.
Well, thanks for all your hard work on that, Nancy. That
So-
takes a lot of time.
Well, I never had to deal with one like this before. They're usually very cut and dried. All right, so the other thing we did was we talked to Rich. We are going to need some additional money in our budget in 25 because of the reval. But the good news is, tell them the good news.
There are a few reports from our new system, that Tyler system that we use, that like Somerset and Seekonk had to pay 5,000 for them to produce. So our DOR rep got on their case, and now for us in
Yeah, who's
Berkeley,
case?
the
Company's case.
company, yeah,
Okay, the provider.
yeah.
Okay.
And they're going to, those
Okay.
have to pay. So for us in Berkeley, we're both out this year. There are a lot of us that are. That's a good thing.
That is a good.
So
thing.
it's okay.
So what is it? Yeah, what did it do? On the back end, what's it doing for you or us in the,
It's pulling information to do with commercial,
to do what?
it's commercial related, like
Right, okay.
income, cost to income and residual land.
Okay, so the calculation that's used to do the reevaluation, the system is helping you with the formula.
Yes, they'll already have like,
It's generating the
It
data.
scrubs,
you-
the-
scrubs the data we have
Yeah.
against the formula and spits out a value.
or at least a
Essentially.
spreadsheet to, and then we can get into it more.
Okay,
There's a lot of different fields, and some of the fields will say user 27, like we don't know, like you have to, it takes a lot to try to figure out what what field you need, what tab it comes from, so.
So what we found out also was that by doing this report that we're now getting not for $5,000, we're getting it for free. It also makes sure that each property is assessed using the same formula. So as Rich explained it, Stephanie and I own identical properties, but I get a break and she doesn't. And that's something the DOL would pick up on. Wait a minute, that's not equitable. How did you do that? So supposedly when this report's generated, that doesn't happen because it all works through the formula and the whole thing. So my impression was less chance of grief from DOR because of the way it will be worked out.
So if I may ask a question, I just want to be clear on the timing. So didn't we approve $28,000 to be in fiscal year 24?
They have to start in soon. So we're still in 24 now and it would carry over to 25, I think. I think we have it out there so we can use it from one fiscal year to another.
For the period of time we need it, not necessarily just a fiscal year period, meaning it has to be used by
Yeah, it's
It's
June.
gonna be like calendar.
It can be used
But
for,
we put $28,000 in this account, so to speak.
Yep.
That expires in June.
No,
No, because it's a special article, it can stay out there past the fiscal year rolling.
Wouldn't be a special article.
well, articles and budgets are different. First of all, when you put a special article on the warrant, I have a special article, I'm getting $2,000 for the stormwater committee to buy educational stuff. So if it's in my budget, I've got to get that spent before June 30th, unless I encumber it against into the new year by saying to the town accountant, writing out like, I'm going to spend the $2,000, but I'm not going to have the stuff by June 30th. So I need to encumber against the FY 24 budget. And she'll say,
What you're saying
okay,
is that there is a mechanism by which you can transfer money from one fiscal year. to
not
another.
transfer, encumber.
continue to spend. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a
Because-
matter of verbiage.
Yeah, you're
Correct.
not supposed to pay for stuff that you haven't received. So that's how you're allowed to encumber. That's how I was able to do the calendars at BP this year. Okay, but that's within the budget. The other thing is, when you do that, you can't spend that money on anything else. So when I had to encumber money last year, FY 23, I needed $500 or something to complete the work on the calendars. If I didn't spend that 500 at BP, it closes out. I can't do anything else with it except goes back to the town. Now, in the case of a special article, if I had an article for $2,000, I can only spend it on what I said I'm going to spend it on. But it's like open-ended. So let's say it took me 2 years. And now I've spent 1,900. There's $100 left in that special article. The town accountant is going to say to me, "You're going to spend that or not?" And if I say no, she'll say, "Give us something in writing saying, close that out." And then it gets voted to close it out. Or if there is a pending item coming up, you have to go to town meeting and say, "I got $100 left in this article. I'm asking permission to take that $100 and put it in, I want to buy this for the education program." And if the vote is voted, it happens, okay? That's a little different, but articles are not the same, okay? If you don't spend it, eventually you're gonna be asked, close it out, and you gotta do it in writing. FinCom has to okay it, whatever.
So yes, Bill, to answer your question, there is a mechanism in which that money gets put aside, but does not have to be spent by fiscal end.
Okay, so.
Fiscal year
money-
end, because we're gonna be using it, we need to go next year, so it prevents us from having to go back and try to get more money. And if they say no, now we have an uncompleted project.
Which,
Essentially,
which goes to my question of this is we're talking about the 2025 budget for reval, which that's what I was saying. I thought we were.
Will we raise any
I
more
thought we
money
were-
in 2025?
Okay,
Is
let
that
me-
what you're asking? That's a good question.
Here's the note, I was writing this down yesterday.
Only if we need more than 28 grand.
After we
whatever's in
talked
it.
to Rich, costs associated with 5-year reval. Number one, Sansucci's work. Power and Dayton Power and Aquaria, already budgeted. Special article, 28,000, all set. Okay? Now, because we have, this is a reval, coming up is the reval year. What Rich said, we are going to have to do mapping and reporting updates. He's guessing we should budget 5,000 for that. This is separate and distinct from what we normally do. Again, because of reval, you incur costs because it's the 5-year reval. Rich says that he will have extra work with land residuals and contacts with the Department of Revenue, reports, adjustments to values. He's estimating that we should budget roughly 2,000 above. What does he get? 4,000?
It's 8 for
Eight.
the,
Oh, that's right, because it gets split. All right. He's, for the reval year, he's estimating his extra work will be approximately 2,000. Could be less than that, can't be more than that, but these were the estimates we talked about yesterday. So I came up with additional costs to budget for reval over and above what we would normally budget is $7,000, which is mapping, reporting, and extra work, and contact that Rich would have to have with the DOR. So, what I'm suggesting is we put this in the budget, in the initial budget, because we got a deadline to meet. Is it?
I don't know what it is.
I'm thinking it's February.
I haven't even started it, so
I'm thinking, is it February 1st?
I hope not.
I got a feeling.
Tomorrow.
it's
That's
Feb-
tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I know that because I've been working with Tommy and we haven't finished stormwater. So,
We need clarification. on it.
yeah, but this is a place to start based on the meeting we had yesterday. Obviously, we're gonna have discussions amongst ourselves. We're gonna have discussions with selectmen and Mike and FinCom and all that. But in going over this whole thing, trying to get some direction on what do we do with the budget for 25 because of the additional costs associated? This is what we came up with. So instead of looking at what, 12,000, thank God we're not paying that other 5. So we're looking at roughly estimated at 7,000. That's it.
So this is a different $5,000 than?
Yes,
28.
yes.
No, she was saying we're getting 5,000 for.
Oh, yeah, yeah. What
reports, yep.
she's talking reporting. This is different kind of mapping and reporting. Now, the maps get updated.
every year they get updated, but I guess she looks for a certain. We used to, we, different neighborhoods, we have a pencil, colored pencil, and now it's like you have to be high tech. You can't just hand her colored in squares. So
She is,
this is, and I've never had a reval
she
before.
is Jan Williams
Jan
from
is our
DOR.
DOR, sorry. So Rich was like, you're gonna have to probably get a layer to identify neighborhoods or whatever else she's asking for. I have a list of things that,
Fortunately, we don't have a lot of neighborhoods, but if you look at it, for example, he said, look at a place like Seekonk. They've got over 200 neighborhoods because of what's in those areas that makes them different from the others. And I guess the taxes are set accordingly. Thank God we don't deal with that.
she's coming tomorrow at 11:15. I have to have a bunch of reports for her. We're gonna discuss timeline, what we
Okay,
need to
good.
do.
All right. So,
So
so that's an expectation setting meeting.
I have several questions. So first of all, you said doing it by pencil. I suppose that's what we used to do.
Hmm.
Is doing it by pencil significantly more difficult than using this new mapping software?
No, but I don't think that's gonna fly with,
Yeah, well, I'm of the opinion of if she insists on high-tech stuff, then she should pay for the high-tech. stuff.
DOI doesn't do that. They don't do that.
I get Bill's point. Is there any way to?
I understand
Wait a
too.
I do
second.
too.
Wait a second.
We can't afford $5,000.
Correct. You're forcing us to spend money we don't have.
No, we're not. Doesn't that come under? Um. The company that's been told, do this for them for nothing,
Mhm.
all right. Do these, I'll call them neighborhood mapping scenario things, do
Mhm.
they build on that? Do you know? I don't know, because I've never gone through a reval thing.
Well, now we got new technology too. So not only do you have a reval that we haven't been through, you've got some technology that hasn't been used. So,
It's two separate, mapping is a different
Okay,
vendor.
all right,
Then-
okay, all right.
so I guess to Bill's question though. If DOR is forcing us to spend money to make their lives easier, why don't they spend the money? Instead of our tax,
That's what I'm saying.
And
right?
this is-
Instead of our taxpayers,
I'm not saying that's what she's gonna say. This is just our conversation yesterday.
right? And this is our conversation now.
Plan, so we're not short. Because you need to get things done when you.
So we don't even caught with our pants down, so to speak, and not know that it might be coming up.
Because.
Right.
And to Bill's point, like, hey, listen, you guys are gonna try and force us to spend this money, you spend it.
That's why the discussion that I just said, we're looking at 7,000, based on the discussion we had. It's gonna be discussed more because she's gonna get more,
So
Excuse me,
does that have to be
information.
discussed tomorrow?
no,
So
no,
if
no,
Bill
no.
has questions on that, should you ask her tomorrow?
If you have.
Like, can we push back on this? Like, we're stretched as far as we can go. If you're gonna spend another $5,000,
And I want to tie it in with the fact that where did the $28,000 number come from?
It came from the person doing the appraisal.
Sanssouci's
San
contract,
Souci's, yes, contract.
and he's the only show around.
right, which, do you remember, you took issue with that? I do remember, Bill.
Yeah,
You were
I
like,
still have it.
that's
No, no,
28 grand.
And,
that was
and
the big
now I'm,
deal.
I'm going to the next step of saying, okay, we went to the town and said,
We need
we
28
need
grand.
$28,000 to do a reval.
Right, now we need more.
It bristles
Yep.
me very strongly to say, oh, we're gonna go back and say, oh, we need another 7,000.
Well, we asked
Why
for
wasn't that in? the original?
28,000 for appraisals to be done on two of our properties.
Right.
It wasn't, we were saying we need it for the reval. It's reval year, but I doubt we said we need 28,000 for reval. We must have.
Even without
said the reason
reval,
why we.
Even without reval, Sanssouci's contract this is it, all right? So that's why I talked about Dayton Power.
I'm not arguing that we should lower that amount. What I'm arguing is that the amount should have been all inclusive and not now we're taking a second, dip at the,
Well, quite frankly, until
Well-
we sat down and talked to Rich yesterday. And these are our guesses, all right? None of us have any idea, is mapping and reporting gonna be 5 or is it gonna be more? Rich says, plan on about 5. We said, what about extra time you're gonna have to spend because it's a reval year? And we kicked that around. And I says, let's plug in 2. Just for the purposes of getting numbers into a budget we could submit. We know the budget is gonna be discussed. We know there's gonna be more information. She's gonna meet with Jan Williams,
Yeah,
but we gotta put something in the budget. We can't keep holding stuff up. As I say, I'm in a similar situation with stormwater. I'm gonna have to plug numbers in because I don't have exact costs for stuff that I'm gonna need. But we got a budget deadline. We've got to submit something. It's the initial budget. It doesn't mean this is it. It's a starting place. I'm just hoping that as we move through this, these numbers may be reduced. I just hope they don't come in higher. None of us have been through a reval. If Carol was still here, she could probably say, well, the last reval, we had to do this, this, and this. None of us have that information and none of us know. That's why I specifically asked Rich, give us an idea what we can expect in a reval year. And that's why it says Sanssouci all set. But these other things, these are unknown. They've got to be done, but we don't have any idea cost-wise. So these are plug-in numbers. They're not cast in stone. They're not whatever.
So I think that's what makes people uneasy though, right? So you're talking about 28 grand. So to Bill's point, 28 grand is what we need, given to us by the only game in town, as you had said. 28 grand, but 28 grand was not for a reval year. Now we need more because we're kind of learning as we go.
But not for him. He's all set with Dayton Power and Aquaria. The revaluation of this town is a different
It
situation.
did not include the 28 grand. And we were clear on what the 28 grand was for.
Yeah.
My recollection is we said it was for revaluation. I do recall we said it was for those.
Well, obviously, they're gonna look at, he's gonna look at the value of those two properties.
And that takes up the 28 grand. So it's 14,000 per property
But
to
he does-
evaluate them
He doesn't,
correctly.
right,
It-
he
it-
doesn't look at the entire town in the, I'll call it the 5-year
Mhm.
reval. And if you'll remember the discussion, how come we didn't know about this and why didn't it get put in the budget? It's because we didn't know it. And I'm the one who said, Stephanie, in the files somewhere, if you have to write it in there every year on the budget, this is year 1, this is year 2, this is year 3, this is year 4. When you get ready to do the budget for the next year 5, when you're doing preparing the budget, include in that budget this money that we're looking for, so it's not outside. I remember that
Do you
discussion.
think Jen would know what we're gonna need coming up?
Yeah, tomorrow I should definitely,
Because I hate to say, oh yeah, and oh yeah, and oh yeah, now we're learning this and now we're learning that.
I can see.
And we need
what
another 5
you
grand and
can
another
get
7 grand, right? See what you can
what
get.
these Expectations of what?
I feel like it harms our credibility.
If we don't know what we're talking about, for sure, absolutely. So that's why we need every bit of information that we can get. And if Jen can't provide it, ask her where we can find out. Okay, say Jen, if
And I
you
would
can't provide us
push back-
this, we need to know these things before we start saying, oh yeah, and we missed this and we missed that. We need to go in with set clear expectations on what it is, what it's being used for, why we need it, et cetera. We're all very sensitive about our taxes and everybody deserves, and if she can't,
At my
maybe I could have a one-on-one with her and ask her some of those questions and say, okay, if you don't have the answer, where do we find them? Because we can't just say, just hold your breath, taxpayers, because we don't know,
What
right?
we
I mean,
need-
that makes sense. That's
What
not
we
fair.
need to know from her is exactly what are you going to require?
Right.
The cost for it, we're gonna have to research and figure out. Like I say, these are nothing more than placeholders.
Right.
Plug it
And
in.
she might be able to provide some numbers for us too. Generally, it's this percentage or this dollar figure or something along those lines. So hopefully we can, at least it points us in the right direction. If she can't have it, point us in the right direction of how we can figure this out.
Right.
And then we'll do some work on that.
Yep.
That sound fair, Bill? Yep. Okay, Nancy, fair?
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right.
Like I say, I brought this up only because we were having this meeting today. I asked that these 2 articles be added to the agenda, just so I could give you guys update. And we had the budget discussion yesterday. And Richard's given us estimates. He's not sure either, but I said, give me something I can put down. So that's what we're doing here today.
Okay. Are you
minutes.
done with that? Are we on public input now?
Yeah.
So
All the public out there.
would this be an appropriate time to talk about Lisa real quick or no? I just wanted to thank Lisa.
Oh, you can do that.
We do that now, public input, should have reached
Yes.
the end, so. Yeah, I just wanted to, we're losing Lisa Tetrall in our office, right? She's going to a somewhat neighboring town for another opportunity. And we just, I speak for myself, I don't know if I speak for the board, but we're gonna miss you, Lisa, and the town will miss you. Done an excellent job for us, your knowledge. And we know you have a passion for serving the taxpayer, and that comes across in your work. So we appreciate you and what you've done for us.
I second that motion.
And I'm gonna make a motion that the board, send a letter to Lisa, thanking her for her service and wishing her well.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye. I'll put a letter together and get it to Stephanie so we can sign it.
Okay. Any correspondence? Anybody? No? Okay. Minutes. Let's take a minute and review the minutes.
Yeah, they're pretty short. They're not,
I have in the packet, so I motion that we accept the minutes as presented for 12/13 and 1/10.
second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
We have a
Anything we didn't expect?
Nothing.
executive session stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We do, so I have to make a motion. to go
Yeah.
Executive session. Oh, it says it right there. I said, I don't know, I went minutes, I went adjournment, I don't know, it's this whole section here. I move that we that we go to executive session under general law, chapter 30A, section 21A7 to comply with the actuality of any special law or federal grant and aid requirements.
Second,
Made and seconded. All those in favor?
roll call, roll call.
Oh,
Ask for a roll call vote.
roll call vote.
Bill Moore, aye,
Nancy Gulati.
Eric Easterly, aye.
and we will not be returning to open session.
That at 10:25, we'll call.